In the brutal debate between old-school heavy metal and modern plastic, we have to ask, aluminum versus composite, which airframe actually survives a mid-air stress fracture? Imagine you are flying through a dark storm at 8,000 feet. Suddenly, you hit a violent wall of wind. A massive stress fracture rips right through your main wing spar. Today, the aviation market wants you to spend millions on sleek, flawless composite airplanes. They call them the ultimate machines of the future. But they are hiding a terrifying mechanical secret about how carbon fiber actually behaves when it breaks. When gravity pushes an airplane past its absolute limit, one material bends, screams, and fights to hold together. The other material hides its damage silently, right until the millisecond it completely shatters like a glass bottle. When the sky tries to rip your wings off, do you want a heavy metal cage or a plastic shell? Step onto any ramp these days and you'll spot them. Those carbon fiber show ponies, polished to a mirror sheen, parked right up front so the neighbors can gawk. The sales pitch comes wrapped in magazine gloss, composite wings, all curves and no rivets, promising the future. They call it innovation. I call it a country club fever dream. You're not just buying an airplane, you're buying a status symbol. The marketing teams know it. They don't talk about yield strength or what happens when a wing gets hammered in a storm. They talk about leather, touchscreen avionics, and paint jobs that cost more than my first hangar. The ads show happy families in pressed polo shirts, not a single oil stain in sight. They'll tell you composite wings never corrode, never wrinkle, never need a rivet replaced. That's the hook. Flawless, forever, untouchable. If you're lucky enough to afford one, you're supposed to feel untouchable too. But here's the part they bury in the fine print. The insurance company sees right through the shine. Hull premiums for these miracle materials run 12 to 18% higher than for a good old aluminum workhorse. Why? Because when a carbon fiber spar cracks, you don't see it until you're writing the claim. Want to sell that sleek bird down the line? Better hope you kept every ultrasonic inspection slip, because missing paperwork knocks $5,000 to $10,000 off the price in a heartbeat. The market might drool over carbon, but it punishes secrets and gaps. Every missing scan is a red flag, every lost logbook a loaded gun for your wallet. Meanwhile, the old metal birds, Cessnas, Pipers, Beechcrafts keep their value steady. They don't hide their scars. A wrinkle in the skin, a smoking rivet, that's honesty you can work with. You can tap test a metal wing and know if it's sound. Try that on a composite and you're flipping a coin. The salesman won't mention that. They'd rather sell you a dream than talk about what happens when the sky tries to tear your wings off. The price tag on these composite wonders does not stop at the sales office. The real gut punch lands when you call your insurance broker. Hull premiums for carbon fiber airframes run 12 to 18% higher than for the same aluminum bird, no matter how many times the sales rep says maintenance free. That extra cash is not for a better paint job. It is the penalty for flying a machine that hides its injuries. Underwriters know what the marketing teams will not say. When a carbon spar cracks, you will find out with a claims adjuster, not a flashlight. They bake that risk into every quote, and you pay for it every year you own the airplane. Try selling one of these sleek composites after a few years. The resale market is as unforgiving as a hangar full of old-timers. Show up without a complete stack of ultrasonic inspection slips in the logbook, and the price drops 5 to 10 grand just like that. It does not matter if the gel coat still shines. Buyers are looking for proof, not promises. A missing scan means you might be hiding a delamination the size of a dinner plate, and nobody is gambling 6 figures on a mystery. Every gap in the paperwork is a red flag, and the brokers know exactly what it costs to fix a secret fracture, sometimes more than the airplane's worth. Meanwhile, the old aluminum workhorses just keep trucking. Their scars are honest and out in the open, wrinkled skin, a smoking rivet, a story you can tap with a coin. You do not need a $30,000 scanner or a PhD to know if a Cessna's wing is bent. The market rewards that kind of honesty. Metal holds its value because it tells the truth every time you look. That is money in your pocket, and a little peace of mind when the weather turns ugly. Aluminum doesn't make promises it can't keep. You push a 2024 T3 spar past its limit, and the metal tells you what is happening, loud and clear. There is a reason mechanics call it honest metal. Start loading it up, and it holds straight, elastic, like a spring. But hit about 276 megapascals, 40,000 pounds per square inch, and you cross the yield line. That is where things get interesting. The stress and strain curve flattens out. The metal stops springing back and starts flowing. It bends, it stretches, it shows you every bit of pain it is taking. There is a visible plateau, yield, then work hardening. It is not a cliff. It is a warning ramp. 12% elongation before it lets go. That is not just a number, that is a survival buffer. You will see the wings start to sag, the skin ripple, rivets working in their holes. Sometimes you will spot a faint smoke ring around a rivet head, local heat from friction as the metal slips. That is not cosmetic. That is the airframe advertising its injuries, screaming for help before it gives up. You can run your thumb along the wing root and feel the permanent wave. You can tap the skin with a quarter and get a sharp, ringing note. Unless the structure has gone soft, then it plunks. That is the tap test, a glorified coin toss. But on metal, it still means something. The work hardening kicks in after yield. The metal gets tougher as it bends, redistributing the load, buying you time. You get a wrinkled skin, a bowed spar, maybe a cluster of smoking rivets, but the load path holds together. That is energy absorption you can see and touch. The wing might look ugly, but it is still carrying lift. You limp home, you patch it, you fly another day. Aluminum gives you a fighting chance. It does not hide its wounds. It does not snap in silence. It bends, it warns, it survives, at least long enough for a pilot with their wits about them to get back on the ground. Carbon fiber does not play by the same rules as metal. It is sleek, strong, and stiff right up until the moment it is not. The stress-strain curve for a composite wing is a straight line, like a ruler, all the way to the cliff. No yield, no warning, no slow bend, just a brittle edge. Push a carbon fiber reinforced polymer spar past about 1.5% strain, maybe 2% if you are lucky, and you are out of road. That is not much. In the real world, that is a hard gust or a botched pull-up on a bumpy day. The laminate holds its shape, keeps its shine, and gives you nothing to work with. But inside, the story has already started. The epoxy matrix, the glue that holds the carbon fibers together, begins to crack before the surface shows a thing. This is called matrix cracking. First, it is microscopic, hidden between plies, opening up like hairline fractures in old concrete. The stiffness drops, just a tick, but the outer skin stays smooth. No buckling, no wrinkling, no smoking rivets. You can have a delamination the size of your hand and never know it is there. That is the trick. Composite does not advertise its pain. It bottles it up until the whole structure snaps. When the matrix fails, load shifts to the fibers. They are strong, but they do not stretch. Once the strain hits that 1.5% threshold, the fibers break almost all at once. The result is not a slow sag or a creaking bend. It is a sudden, violent shatter, like a shattered glass bottle. The wing does not limp home. It comes apart in a heartbeat. And the surface still looks perfect, except maybe a hairline paint crack if you are lucky. That is the real fear. You can tap test a metal wing and hear the story. With composite, the coin toss is literal. The structure can be fractured deep inside, silent and invisible, waiting for the next load to finish the job. No warning, no mercy, just a clean break and a lot of questions for the insurance company. That is what you buy when you buy the future, a machine that holds its secrets until it is too late. It does not take a hurricane to wound a composite. Composite wing. Sometimes all it takes is a slip of the hand. I have seen it 100 times, a mechanic up on a ladder with a socket wrench in the pocket, and then gravity does its thing. 13 ounces of steel, or maybe a screwdriver, drops less than a meter onto that glossy carbon fiber surface. The impact is about 8 joules. That is barely more than a hard knock on a lunchbox. But for a 10-ply composite wing, that is enough to start a barely visible impact delamination, also known as barely visible impact damage. 8 joules is the threshold where the resin gives up, plies start to peel, and the real trouble begins. You will not see a dent. You will not feel a soft spot. The gel coat stays perfect, like a poker face. But inside the matrix, cracks between layers. The fibers shrug it off at first, but the glue that holds them together is already broken. That is the nightmare. A flaw the size of a nickel buried 2 millimeters down, waiting for its moment. The old-timers call it the silent fracture. Drop a tool on an aluminum wing and you get a ding, maybe a scuff, maybe a curse from the boss. Drop that same tool on a carbon wing and you just started a clock ticking and you will not hear a thing. I have run the demo for new hires. Take a composite coupon, drop a blunt steel ball from waist height, 8 joules exactly. Ultrasonic C-scan lights up a ghostly circle 2 millimeters deep and 3 across. No surface mark, but the scan does not lie. That is your invisible wound. Let that plane fly another 100 hours. Let it see a gust or a hard landing, and that delamination grows. 15 joules and you are up to a dinner plate. 20 joules and you have through thickness cracks, maybe even a surface dent if you are lucky. But by then, it is already too late. The worst part is this. You can tap test it all day, a glorified coin toss. Maybe you hear a dull thud, maybe you do not. Odds are 50-50, and that is being generous. Aluminum gives you scars you can see, wrinkles you can feel. Composite just sits there, lying to your face. That is the hazard nobody at the country club talks about. The wing can be fractured, and you would never know until the next load finishes the job. That is why I trust metal. It never hides its pain. You want to know what keeps me up at night? It isn't the glossy paint or the price tag. It is what hides beneath that shine. Damage you can't see, can't feel, can't even guess at unless you are willing to drag a $20,000 ultrasonic C-scan across every square inch. That is where the real story starts. I have stood in the back of the hangar while the non-destructive testing operator fires up the phased array. The screen flickers to life, all blue and green, and then, there it is. A ghostly shadow, a perfect circle, maybe 2 millimeters deep, 3 millimeters across. No dent, no crack, just a silent wound in the carbon. You would never spot it with a flashlight. You could tap test that spot all day, call it a glorified coin toss, and the odds are you would miss it every time. But the C-scan does not lie. It picks up delaminations as small as a millimeter, buried under layers of unbroken gel coat. One night, a cirrus comes in after a rough landing. The pilot swears nothing is wrong. I send it to the non-destructive testing technician anyway. He sweeps the right wing and stops cold. The scan lights up, a dinner plate delamination, invisible from the outside. You want a forensic vignette? There is your smoking gun. That flaw has been growing for months, maybe since the last time someone dropped a tool. The pilot never knew, neither did the line mechanic. Only the C-scan tells the truth, and by then, you are one thunderstorm away from catastrophic failure. That is the inspection barrier. With aluminum, scars are honest, wrinkles, smoking rivets, all out in the open. With composite, you are blind unless you pay for the privilege of seeing. Every hidden flaw is a loaded chamber, waiting for the next over G. The country club crowd can keep their secrets. I will take a wing that shows me its pain before it decides to wreck my day. 5 Gs hit like a freight train. 1 second, the wing is just flexing. The next, everything is on the line. Here is what happens in real time. Start with aluminum. The load spikes and the metal groans. You get that unmistakable metallic shriek, hundreds of rivets stretching in their holes, skin wrinkling along the spar. The whole wing bows upward, but it is still in the fight. Plastic deformation spreads out the pain, soaking up energy as the metal yields. You will see the skin ripple, feel the structure shudder, maybe even catch a whiff of that hot ozone metal smell as a rivet starts to smoke. The wing looks ugly, but it is still holding lift. Honest scars, right there for anyone to see. Now, carbon fiber. The same load hits and the wing barely flinches at first. No groan, no warning, just cold, rigid silence. The stress climbs, and inside, the epoxy matrix starts to crack. Plies begin to peel away from each other. The surface stays perfect, smooth and glossy, lying to your face. Then, in a blink, the fibers snap. It is not a shriek, it is a sharp, brittle crack, like a glass bottle smashed on concrete. The whole spar can separate, clean as a bone saw, with nothing but a faint pop. No time to react, no visible warning. One moment you are flying, the next you are fighting for control. That is the reality of a composite wing under real-world stress. When it lets go, it is sudden, violent, and final. High-speed test footage does not lie. Aluminum wings deform, twist, and sometimes look half-ruined, but they keep the airplane together long enough to limp home. Composite wings hold right up to the edge, then lose everything in a heartbeat. When the load spikes, you want a material that fights back, not one that bottles up its injuries and explodes. That is the difference between scars you can fix and secrets that wreck the whole machine. Inspection logs tell the real story. After a hard landing, the ramp check decides if an airplane returns to the sky or sits grounded. With aluminum, damage leaves clues: wrinkled skin, crooked rivet lines, or a dull thud where a ring should be. A flashlight and a practiced hand can spot trouble. The tap test, simple and almost crude, reveals whether the structure is sound or hiding a bruise. Aluminum does not hide its pain. It shows every scar, every warning in plain sight. Composite wings play by different rules. The surface stays perfect, even after a punishing impact. No rivets, no wrinkles, nothing to see. You can tap, press, and prod, but a fracture can lurk just beneath the gel coat, invisible to the eye and ear. Only an ultrasonic C-scan, portable, expensive, and handled by a certified technician, can spot the hidden danger. Without it, a delamination the size of a hand can wait quietly for the next flight, ready to fail when it matters most. Retired analysts have seen too many owners trust a flawless finish. They will say aluminum is honest, but composite keeps its secrets. The lesson is simple: trust the scars you can see. When your life depends on a wing, choose the one that warns you before it lets go. Today's sky is crowded with glass bottle dreams, expensive, silent, and brittle. Aluminum still wrinkles, groans, and shows its scars before it quits. Right now, pilots bet their lives on what they can't see, or what they can bang with a coin. Survival isn't about status, it's about what talks back. When you ask, "Are you still holding together?" Stay sharp out there. Drop your war stories or questions in the comments.